All right, we're moving into chapter 6 of Ephesians, and this is a good one. Remember that the last one we talked about was in the context of husband and wife, right? We talked about love and respect and how both sides should love and both sides should respect. And here we're diving into the relationship between parents and children. So today, really what we're going to do is we're going to break down a bunch of words. This is actually something I'm extremely passionate about on many different levels, because I just think it's so important. The health of adults, like emotional health, mental health, spiritual health of adults, tends to stem from childhood. So I find raising children a great responsibility that I have never taken lightly. If anything, taken it very, very seriously, and it can be scary. But when you have God in your life and you lean on Him, He will help you through it because He's the best dad. Okay, so the first thing it says, children, obey your parents because you belong to the Lord, for this is the right thing to do. Okay, so children, young children, obey. This basically means you're going to listen to their direction, you're going to heed their direction, and in some cases that relies on the fact that you trust them, right? So when you are a child, and this is something we have told every single kid who comes into our house, their parents always override anything we tell them because it's their parents, right? So we can't overstep other people's parenting, and that's because scriptures tell kids to obey their parents. So it doesn't matter what I think about how another parent is doing things. Kids need to obey their parents, and we should always encourage them to do that. Now, verse 2 kind of speaks to adult children. Honor your father and mother. This is the first commandment with promise. If you honor your father and mother, things will go well for you, and you will have a long life on earth. I take this verse 100% at its word. I have seen the fruit of people who do not honor their parents. Now, honor does not mean obey. Two different things, okay? So as adults, you don't have to obey your parents. You don't have to do what they tell you to do, but you do need to honor them. And that's going to look different because I actually don't see honor and respect as synonyms. To me, they're two different words. They mean two different things. So when I see here, honor your father and mother, I'm not seeing respect them. I'm seeing honor. Because sometimes some people have parents who are just not healthy for whatever reason. You still can honor them even if you don't necessarily respect them. And what does that mean? Honor means to value, to regard as precious and worthy. It comes from the idea, and this is going back to the Greek word and the intention of what the word, like what is this trying to communicate? This comes from the idea of recognizing the value or worth of someone. Okay, so it's just like when you have a falling out with someone or you have conflict with someone, regardless of whether they've lied to you, respected you, disrespected you, hurt you, whatever, we have to have honor for that person. What does that mean? They are worthy and they have value. They may have to suffer the consequence of the actions that they've done. You know, they're still a human. They still have dignity. They still are worthy to be treated like a human, right? So even someone who takes the life of another person, yes, they have to pay. They took the position of God and they overstepped, right? And acted as God in that moment, but they still deserve to be respected as humans. They may suffer the consequence of what they did, and that looks different in different cultures, in different ways, but they're still human and they still deserve honor. Do they deserve respect? you know, it's a matter of opinion, but honor is different. And that's the thing is, I know a lot of churches have adopted this culture of honor, and now unfortunately it has a bad connotation to it, but it's because people have misused honor into obey. Obey and honor is not the same thing. Obedience is not honor, honor is not obedience. Just because you don't do what someone tells you to do doesn't mean you don't honor them. You still have your relationship with God, you still have autonomy, you still have control over your own actions, you can choose what you do and don't do. It doesn't mean you don't honor them. So those are two different things. Okay, moving on to the next thing. Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger by the way you treat them, rather bring them up with the discipline and instruction that comes from the Lord. Okay, I'm very passionate about this. Parents, don't provoke your children. They deserve your respect and they deserve your honor. They may be little humans. It doesn't mean they're less than you. They deserve as much honor as you have. And in many cases also, they deserve as much respect as you have. You are raising them up. So what does this mean? Don't parent in a way that continually produces resentment or exasperation. I'm going to give you a very practical example in my life. My oldest daughter is not the cleanest person in the world. Her room is always messy, a disaster. I could get on her about it. I've chosen not to. Why? Because to her, there are so many more important things that she does that it's a nuisance, and it's kind of like devaluing other things in her life. So I'm not going to provoke her when she tells me how much it bothers her when we do it. Now, there's instruction and there's guidance, and I teach and I do what I can, but now she's an adult. I can't force her to do anything. I can guide her and she can choose whether she listens, and she does honor me. She may not always do what I tell her to, but she does honor me. And I don't want to cause a space between her and I over something that in reality isn't as important as her character, how she treats people and stuff like that, right? So that's an example of, I'm not going to provoke her and pee her off just because, you know, she's not doing something I want her to do. I have priorities in terms of what matters to me as a parent, and her character, her kindness, her love, how she shows up for people, how she shows up in the world is way more important to me than her clean room. Now, for her mental and emotional health, I think a clean room would be better, but that's a lesson she's going to have to learn. Then there's bring them up. What does that mean? That talks about, when you look at the Greek word, it talks about nurture and nourish, raising to maturity, okay? So we're not here to simply, you know, be there and protect them. Yes, protection is part of it, and to make sure they don't do stupid things. But we're not here as parents to prevent them from doing stupid things. We're here to nurture and nourish them, pour into them, teach them, guide them. That goes into the next word, which is discipline. Oh, and one thing on the bring them up, that Greek word also goes into the same root word that's used in Ephesians 9:29 when it talks about no one hates his own body but feeds and cares for it. Same word there. So the same care we have for our bodies, we should have for our children in terms of nourishing them, giving them what they need, etc. Then we have discipline. Discipline is not punishment. And growing up, and even till today in some circles, and by the way, this video is definitely going to go over 10 minutes, but it's important, I feel. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is not, I'm going to hit them with the rod. Discipline is not, I need to punish them, hit them, take them away. Because that's the way the word was taught when I was younger, and even in some circles still today. That word discipline in both Hebrew and Greek refers to training, education, instruction, correction. Correction isn't, I'm going to hit you so you feel the pain. Now, sometimes a consequence could be that, but that doesn't work for everyone. For example, my oldest again, I could yell at her, discipline her, ground her, do whatever. She's not going to learn from it. She learns from me explaining why, talking through it, helping her think through why what she did wasn't the best idea, how did it affect everyone around her, what the best option would have been, how to make decisions when you're heated in the moment, what to think about. That's instruction, that's training, that's discipline. It is not punishment. Punishment and discipline are not synonyms. They're two different words. And the word here is discipline. It's the whole process of forming and developing someone. So where do you think the word disciple comes from? Discipline. When you disciple someone, you're training them, you're educating, you're instructing, you're correcting. It is the process of forming and developing someone. Would you, when you're discipling someone, are you just looking to punish them for what they did wrong? Or do you want to instruct them and teach them and guide them and correct them, making sure they're headed in the right direction? Maybe they were used to going down one road and you're just here, just adjust slightly, just adjust this thing. Here's why. Let's look at the scriptures. Same thing with the kids. Our kids are our disciples. They become mini us. They become not just what you teach them, but how you live, because they're following you, they're watching you, they're listening to you, they see you. All of that matters. Parents aren't simply given authority over their children, they are given responsibility for how they use that authority. And that is the biggest lesson here, because one of the biggest failures I have seen, and I know that a lot of parents see this from the perspective of they realize they have the responsibility to raise their children and they know they have authority, but we have to stop treating our children like we have power over them. Because power and authority are two different things. And we can't control them. We can't control anyone. The only people the Bible ever instructs us to control is ourselves. We are there to raise our children, to guide them, to nourish them, to discipline, to teach them, to correct their path, because they are children. They are not adults. And we have the responsibility and the authority in their lives to help guide them and shape them and form them. It's a beautiful thing that God has, a beautiful gift and opportunity that God has given us as parents. But how we use that responsibility, how we take care of that responsibility, how we approach that responsibility is very important. Because we could see it as, well, we have the rules and we have this and we have that. But if your child is constantly angry with you, you're constantly provoking their anger, you're silencing them, you're not listening to them because you feel like you have no room to complain, you have no voice here. I am the parent, you have to do what I say. It's just a I say so situation. You're not raising your children, you're not guiding them, you're just telling them what to do. They become parrots. And we don't want to raise people who just mimic other people, because you want to know why? If you raise them in the way of just do what I tell you to do, be quiet, do what I tell you to do, you don't know anything, you're less than, I am the adult, I know better, just do it. What do you think is going to happen when they leave your home, going into an environment with other people, with other values, with other things? If all they learn to do was parrot you and mimic you, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to parrot and mimic whoever they're around in that new environment when you're not there. Because they were not taught how to think, how to reason, how to believe, what to question, how to live. You just taught them, do what I say. So when they go to college or when they find a partner, what have they been taught? Just do what I say. And that's what they're going to do. And then we wonder why they find themselves in these precarious situations or become totally different people when they leave the home, because you didn't teach them how to be themselves, how to be confident, who they are. You just taught them, mimic me and do what I say. And then when they leave, that's exactly what they're going to do. These are powerful words. This is a powerful lesson as parents. There's so much richness. Meditate on it. It's a good word. Until next time.